we're at Southend today, so I thought it'd be nice to talk to the founder about how it all started and how Southend has developed over the years. So things started with a game called Death Row. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was our first game. We started actually in 1998, so this year it's 10 years for Southend, so managed to stay alive in the business. And our first game was Death Row, as you say, and we started developing that in 1999. And it was released on Xbox One in 2002. So we had a development time of well over 3 years, in where we started developing our own technology, came up with a game concept, started to learn the business, how you attracted a publisher and how you hired people and built the studio. So basically,
you were pretty small back then.
Yeah, we were 5 guys. So for half of that project, the Xbox One title, we were 5 guys, and in the end we ended up at 9 people for the entire game. That was pretty unique, even in those days.
I have the feeling that a lot of games got cancelled or didn't come through at that time, sort of late last generation, moving on to the next generation. Were you a victim of the same sort of thing there, where Xbox was sort of dying, or?
A little bit, but also maybe because Ubisoft was sort of moving their development focus from Europe, where they had a lot of big studios at the time, to Canada, and now they have their great, fantastic teams in Montreal, for example, and they have a really huge team in Shanghai also. So I think it was part that also, and yeah. So after that, we sort of started thinking, should we really spend 3 years of our lives on each game, or should we try and focus on what we really want to do, really creative ideas that are more sandbox and with really high replayability value, but smaller and tighter, but equally polished as a AAA game. We started making smaller games at first. We started looking, because this was before Xbox Live Arcade becoming big on 360. So we started developing some smaller games for cell phones. We did the Da Vinci Code 3D, which we used the entire technology we used on Xbox One, but ported that to Symbian cell phones. So we had skeleton animation systems and cutscene systems, etc., in full 3D on a handset, which was pretty unique at the time. But then we got the announcements about Xbox Live Arcade and thought, this is exactly what we want to do, and it's the right scale of things on really good hardware that we sort of know already, and we have the technology. And Microsoft and Southend has always had a good rapport, so we got a hint about another company called Tosai that has some really interesting IPs, Lode Runner and R-Type Dimensions. So we started discussing with those guys, and at the same time we picked up another brand we had in our drawer that we were sort of developing for PC or handheld, called Commanders Attack of the Genos. So actually we signed the Commanders first after developing it internally for a while, first with Sierra Online, which unfortunately is no longer with us. So Commanders Attack of the Genos was released in early 2008, in February actually. It came out on both PC and Xbox 360.
So far you've only done Xbox Live Arcade. Are you also looking into PlayStation Network and PC downloadables?
Definitely. A PC downloadable we did with Commanders, of course, with Sierra Online, and PSN. We have the dev kits, of course. We're both certified Wii and PlayStation developers and are playing around with the dev kits. But so you need to go where the business is at that specific time. So we're definitely looking at PSN as an interesting platform for us during next year.
It's interesting with a bigger company focused on the smaller games.
Yeah, so we've grown from 5 people then to we're 40 people now approximately. So we can handle several smaller productions at the same time. But it's not like we don't want to be as big as DICE or Massive or those companies. But we prefer to keep it a bit smaller and work with famous brands with famous publishers, but on a smaller scale.
And I know you can't talk about what you're working on right now, but can you tell us something? How many projects are you working on right now?
I think we have 4 in production right now, and some are for the next gen mobile phones that hasn't been announced yet, and they are really top of the line. Things like OpenGL ES 2.0 with full shader programmable support are coming out now for cell phones, so it's not the old Snake experience anymore. They're almost Xbox One in quality. So it's just a matter of time. The PSP is going to have a really hard time for fighting off the cell phone games now.
It feels like iPhone has really opened up gaming on cell phones.
Yeah, and that's been the major problem for cell phones. It's the content channel. It's been really difficult for end users to buy the game. There hasn't been any good stores or portals for buying games. But now with the App Store on Apple, you're just a click away from finding all the cool games. And you can play them on the bus or in the subway. And then when you come home to your couch, yeah, you sit down and play with your Xbox or PlayStation. So there's definitely a need for those kind of games. So we just need Sony Ericsson and Nokia and the rest of the guys to get their platforms up.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.